Alrighty, this is episode 4, continuing from where we left off on episode 3. Like I mentioned previously, these videos, because I'm using free software, can only be 15 minutes per. So I guess it's kind of better, instead of making a lot or just a few of really long, boring videos, you can have a few quick, to the point ones. So, like last video, go ahead and open up the document that we were working on previously, which is this rows. If you do not know how to do that, just go ahead and go to the same thing that you did basically to open the rows, but for the document. So go to File, Open, and then you're going to go grab one with this little icon right here that says PS, that stands for Photoshop. Whatever you saved it as, go ahead and grab that and open it. So I have mine open right here, and we're just going to go ahead and get started right from where we left off. So that is right here, and we're looking for the magnetic lasso tool. Now this one kind of works the same, but it gives you a little bit more of an assist on starting to select different shapes. So we're going to, first off, make sure that your layer is unlocked. As you can see, mine is. This is what it would look like if it was locked. Go ahead and unlock that, and then move on right over here. So we're going to select the magnetic lasso tool, and you're going to get this little tool looking thing with a magnet on it. So what we're going to do is trying to select this pedal right here. Go ahead and try and do this with me. What I'm going to do is click right down here in this corner. Now, I'm going to enlarge this, and I'm going to also show you how to do that just to make it easier. Go ahead and hold down the Alt key, and wherever this icon is, go ahead and use the scroll wheel on your mouse and go up on it, and that'll zoom in. So hold down Alt and scroll, and wherever this little thing is, it's going to go towards it. See, just like that. And then holding down Alt, scroll the opposite direction, and it will zoom out. So we're going to go right over here. Now once you've gone super far in, if you hold down Control and scroll each different way, your document will go left and right. This is a super easy way to navigate your artboard and zoom in on things that you need heavier detail on. The harder way, well, I guess not harder way, but the basic way is to hit Control and then the plus and minus keys, but it zooms out in a huge difference. So the Alt scroll and the Control scroll is a lot easier to go, and then just regular up and down scroll goes up and down. It's just a lot easier and more convenient for me. It might take a while to get used to, but I definitely recommend doing it as much as possible because it'll help you in the long run. So for this one, what we're going to do is start right here on this bottom corner. Once you've zoomed in, all you're going to do is click and then slowly move your mouse along the outside edge as best as you can. And as you can see, it's going to start sort of making points along this and find the edge for you. So it's going to basically attract, as a magnet would, to the outside edges. It might get a little tough for it to do this because of the pixelation, but if you go slow enough, it might have more time. So once you get back to your beginning, go ahead and click, and then look at that, we've selected a pedal. So now we can go ahead and move this wherever we want. So I'm going to go ahead and set that right there just because I feel like it. And then like in the last one, to deselect, Control D. I'm going to zoom out here. And you've made a very clean selection. So as you can see, that is very beautiful right there. So moving on, the next one right here is going to be yet another selection tool. But we have a couple of different options. These ones are going to be a little harder to use. They're going to work on more light colored objects, or just general spaces in total. So we're going to start with the quick selection tool. So what we're going to have is this little plus icon here. So now that you've moved this pedal out of the way, we're going to practice on this pedal because it's a little easier. So what we're going to do is click and hold, and you're going to see it's going to really quickly select this whole entire thing for you. That's basically what it's going to do, is select the amount of pixels in the area that it can that are similar and start grouping them together. And then once you let go, it's going to give your selection. So if you look up at the top though, you've got some options up here. So right here is going to be sort of the size and hardness of what you're selecting. So I'll show you how to change the size a lot easier than going up here. but you also have an option that has the selection that has a negative and one that has a positive. The positive, which we're on right now, is going to add. So if we click this negative right here, you can assume that it's going to deselect. So you can see we're deselecting, and right now all we have is this little corner. Another way to do this is, instead of just going up here and clicking it, so we'll select this whole entire thing right here really quickly. It works. Hold down the Alt key and you'll see that it changes to negative. If I let go of the Alt key, it changes back to positive. So as you're holding down the Alt key, you can use that to deselect as well. Super cool feature for bigger light color objects. It gets a little harder to control. Sorry, I just paused the video because I just had to sneeze. But we're back. We're good. What was I saying? It gets a little easier to control, and you can select different things that way. This personally is not my favorite way to select things because it's really, really hard to control. But if it works, it works. You know, you play around with this, find what works for you, and some circumstances this can be very handy. So another cool thing that I want to show you, anything that works with this sort of like selection that works in a brush style like this one, the bracket keys that are to the right of the P on your keyboard, the left one is going to make it smaller and the right one is going to make it bigger. So you can go ahead and tap on those keys, make it bigger or smaller. I'll go ahead and find an example of a keyboard just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see. These are the keys I'm talking about right here. These little bracket keys right next to the P. If you click this one right here, it's going to make it smaller, and this one right here is going to make it bigger. So super quick feature to change the size of it. You can make it as big as you want to select as much as you want. You can make it as small as you want to select as small as you want. Or if you forget that, there's always this drop down arrow right here to select the size that you want yourself. And some other things. I personally don't usually touch these because they just start messing things up, and it's more of a what I would like to call an expert's line of choice, just because I usually use the most simplistic tools possible, and it gets the job done alright. So to deselect all of my crazy selections right here, like always, Control D, and we're back to where we started. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration. If I go ahead and click and drag this little bit right here and hit delete, it's going to work the exact same as any selection would. Control Z to undo that, and then Control D to deselect. Hope that's understandable. I know I threw a lot of information out right there, but it works just about the same as these, only this one you can create more with it. The magnetic lasso tool is super nice to use, but again, can be a little crowded in little pixelated areas like such, but it's a cool feature to use. So moving on, inside here we have the magic wand tool. This one's basically going to select as much that's similar to the pixels you select as possible. So if I click, you can see it's going to select as much as it can that has this sort of red pixelation right here. If I select the green, it's going to select as much as it can with that similar color. So if you had a solid block of green that was all the same shade, it's going to select the whole entire thing. But this one is going to be more for, say you had an abstract piece of art and you want to select all of the blue colors, you'd select blue, you know, and it works in different areas. You notice though, wow, you didn't even see the stem when I clicked on it. So I clicked here, you can see that it only selects that select area and sort of ignores all of this light green right here. So if I select this dark right here, it's going to select as much dark as it can. See, the problem with using things like this is it's not very accurate because it's not quite sure what you're doing. But there's definitely good ways to use it and certain times to use it. But that's just a quick example. Moving on, let's see what I can skip here. The crop tool. We'll look at the crop tool real quick. You know, if you want to draw a quick space right here, you can crop the image. You do this on Instagram all the time. You know, it's just pretty simple to understand. And then at the top here, you'll have a disregard undo, and then check mark. So if I hit the check mark, as you can see, it's going to crop it all down to that size. Control Z to undo that, because we don't want to do that, but this one is very straightforward. Perspective crop tool, this one basically, you can draw a shape, and then, don't crop, just kidding, redo, rewind. So what you can do right here is select sort of an angle, and then it gives you more of a perspective, as you would in like drawing. So if I did that, it would give you sort of a warped perspective. Kind of hard to use. I've honestly never used it. This is more for artistic creations. This one's more of an already predetermined image. But you know, if it works, it works, but sometimes it doesn't. I'm not going to go over the slice and slice select tool because those ones are a whole new ball game. Go ahead and play with them if you want. You know, you have a lot of freedom to go ahead and pause this video and do what you want to do. But I'm sort of giving you the basic of basics that I use every day that I think will help you the most. Moving down a little bit, this little eyedropper tool right here, this one's going to allow you to select colors. So you can see this little color palette right here. The first shape right here is going to be the solid color of an object. And then this second one right here is going to be the outline, or what we would call the stroke of an object. So if I click on any of the pixels in here, I'm going to get red. If I click right here, I'm going to get green. That is a nasty green. If I click sort of towards the edge, I'm going to get this little gray. If I click towards there, I'm going to get a different green. So as you can see, this is going to select different colors. This one's key command is the letter I. So if I want to go to that, I just click I, and it's going to take me right down to that dropper tool. The cool thing about that is if you were on the pen tool right here, which I'll show you in just a second, and I'm drawing in this nasty green color. Actually, it doesn't look as bad once I actually draw with it. And I hit the letter I can go pick red, and then go right back here, and now I have red to draw with. So now you're probably wondering, why the heck did you jump ahead? Because now I'm confused. But I'm just giving a quick example. But now we're on to the paintbrush. The paintbrush is super, super cool, and I think you'll love it. So right here we've got the brush, the pencil tool, the color replacement tool, and the mixer brush. Go ahead and ignore these three, play with them if you want, but the brush is going to be the main one that I want to show you. So I'm going to click the brush, and then up here you have a ridiculous amount of options. So the first one being the actual brush itself. These ones are predetermined brushes that you can create. I haven't created any yet, just because I use the same one just about every time. But we won't really go over that because that is for a later description. This one right here is going to be the size and hardness. Hardness is basically going to be how soft it is. So you can see right here, this one's going to be really high contrast color in the middle and then sort of lighter on the outside. Usually we would change that with the opacity, which I'll show you in just a second. But the size right here also works with those brackets I explained. So if I go out here and I'm drawing, if I hit the right bracket, I can make my color bigger. If I go down, I can make it smaller. Let's undo all that. So moving over, we have the mode, which just sort of gives you different color options or effects, basically. You know, play with those if you want. There's really nothing too much to explain about those other than it's really up to you. That will also be explained in the layers panel in another video, so we'll get there. Opacity. Here we go. So I'm drawing with, let's see here, red. So I draw a line. This is at 35% opacity. So now if I go to 100%, we are now at that dark red. Basically, that makes it more clear. So if I go down to like 3 or 16%, you can see it gets even lighter. And the more I go down in opacity, that color just gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And now it looks like someone's arm in the makeup aisle of, I don't even know, a makeup store. But I was going to make a joke and it didn't work. Darn it. Anyways, so back to that pen tool. We're going to go back to 100%. You can go ahead and practice drawing. This video is going to end in about 10 seconds because I wasn't paying attention, so I will see you in the next video.